Hello, I just want to add this video in here so I can give you a little bit of a verbal introduction to Module 1, which is called My Animal Education. So the first module that we're really working with here is 2 weeks where we're just going to really think about um, uh, what you've learned and what you think you know about animals. So let me back up just one step. Part of module 1 will be just kind of introduction to Canvas and getting to figure out where things are and probably making mistakes and asking questions and getting familiar a little bit with each other. So there's going to be plenty of time for that, and we're going to continue to do that um, in many ways. I'll design some introduction assignments and things like that. So there will be some chance to just kind of get used to Canvas. This is my first time using Canvas for a class. So I will be making mistakes. You will probably notice them. I will appreciate it when you let me know when you notice some mistake or something that doesn't seem to be working right. If you just send me an email, that will help me fix that or figure out what's going on, and we'll both learn and be better for it. The second thing we're trying to do in module 1 of this class is really begin thinking about the content of the class. So you've already learned by the course title, this is UNIV 299, what's the big idea about human-animal relations? And so that may not bring up anything much for you to kind of think about, but we're going to begin to think about all the different ways that we have interactions with animals as humans, and all the different ways that we're affected by that, and all the different ways we learn about how to think about animals that we encounter. So my little one way we think about animals a lot is that we may have grown up with pets, or we may have pets, companion animals, if you will. My little buddy here, this is Dawa. Dawa wanted to be part of saying hello to you guys this morning. Dawa is only about April to August, April, May, June, July, August. He's only about 4 months old, so he's still a little guy and he's still sleepy. So that's one way that we have maybe learned about animals. It's just through the animals that live with us, that are part of our families. But if that wasn't your experience, then that doesn't mean you don't have anything to say or that you haven't learned anything. So you may think about the cartoons you watch growing up. You may think about educational television programming and the animals that are represented on that show, whether they're real animals or cartoon or puppet animal representations. You may think about your trip to the grocery store as a kind of an interaction with an animal. Do you buy animal products? If so, that's a human-animal interaction. You may think about the fly that shows up in your bedroom at night. That's a human-animal interaction. You may, once you begin to think about all the different ways, you may think about what you're wearing. Do you have any animal products on you right now? That's a human-animal relationship, right, as a product. So what we want to do to kind of back off from that just a little bit is we want to use module 1 to begin to think about and really reflect on and explore all the different things we've learned about animals, to ask the questions, how do I know what I think I know about animals? So we have two course objectives that are identified in this document that I'm showing you right now that relate to module 1. One of those course objectives says that we should identify and reflect upon relevant formal and informal lessons, meaning maybe a formal lesson, maybe you had a biology class where you learned about something about an animal. An informal lesson might be more you just had a interaction walking down the sidewalk with an animal. So identify and reflect upon relevant formal and informal lessons that contribute to one's learning and attitude toward non-human animals. And I want to say just a minute here about this language. You'll hear me frequently say non-human animals. Um, I like the language to qualify um, frequently the animals that we're going to be talking about in this class as non-human, simply because humans are also animals. So it makes it a little bit more clear when we're talking about humans or we're talking about non-human animals. So yes, this is reflect upon, think about. And in that regard, the content of this first module is really your own cultural experience, your own individual experience, and what you've learned about animals. The other objective that I want to highlight here related to this module is that we're going to articulate and analyze an example of a formal or informal education about non-humans as related to its impact on personal attitude and assumption. So what that means is, how have these lessons that we've learned all our lives about animals affected how we currently think about animals? And so what's going to happen is, by the end of module 1, you're going to write a personal narrative reflection essay that discloses some kind of lesson that you've learned about non-human animals, and kind of what that's meant to you, and why that matters. Let me stop the screen share for a moment. So that doesn't mean that you're going to have had, grown up on a farm with a lot of animals to know what to write about. There are all kinds of things, and we'll talk about this, but I just brought a few examples. Toy, you may have had toys that were representations of animals. You may have learned to think about or make associations based on toys that you had as a child that had animals, or famous, here's Snoopy, Charlie Brown. What kind of cartoon animals occupied a lot of your world as a child, and thinking about them? You may have read certain books. This is just one I've found called Touching Spirit Bear, but you may have read young adult books that help shape the way you think about animals, or more like picture books that help shape the way you think about animals. And then again, I showed you my cat on my lap, but you may have had pets and that sort of thing. All kinds of things. You have a whole bank of knowledge about animals coming into this class. Now, I'm not saying all of it's accurate, all of it's good. Our culture may teach us, to fear some animals and like other animals. And some of that may be not not a complete picture of that animal. So if we're all afraid of certain breeds of dogs, that might be a cultural lesson that we've learned that isn't necessarily 100% true. Okay, so that's the introduction to what my animal education means. The other thing that we're going to be doing in Unit 1, or Module 1, is just kind of learning a little bit about each other, and getting used to Canvas, as I said before. So that's all I've got. Let me know if you have questions. It was nice to have this little chat to introduce what Module 1, My Animal Education, is really about.